Hey, Scott from MyGrowthRings.com. I'm here in the shop of my buddy Isaac. Actually, Isaac is my son's brother-in-law, and he is currently in the process of storing a buddy's Shopsmith equipment. And we've been talking about some of the things that he's going to need to get it all up and running. I accidentally posted a picture on Instagram, and lo and behold, a guy named Morgan sent me a message saying, "Hey, I got some of the stuff that you need." And like, what are you talking about? And I then learned that some of the pictures I posted in that deck was a picture of a notepad that we were making notes. And so, Morgan, shout out to you. Thank you very much for the help.
Thank you so much.
So one of the things he sent is something that's relatively rare. I don't have one. My Mark V is the larger model 510. I also have a 520. What we have here is the Mark V model 500. This is based on a model that was made since 1955 until about the year 2000. So it's a much smaller table. And one of the things that you don't get with this machine is you don't have a T-slot miter gauge. And as if the table wasn't small enough, it feels even smaller because that's not captured. So what Morgan sent along for us, along with a few other things, is this. And it turns out this little device was introduced also in the 1950s because the folks that designed this realized that this was something that was missing. So what we have here is a little clamp system, and this is designed to just simply clip onto the front fence rail. This is the rail where the fence would normally attach. You line your miter gauge up with that, and then you tighten that knob on the bottom. And as you tighten that, it swings it up to level with the main table. Now, Isaac, does it really swing it up to level with the main table?
Not first time.
Not the first time. So to get that thing aligned, and it's a one and done kind of adjustment, is you loosen that bolt right there, has a hex. We probably need to tighten that up again. And then on this side, that is an eccentric shaft. And so with that loose, you just put your adjustable wrench on there, give it a crank until it goes up or down, and once you're level, you tighten down that machine screw, and you are good to go. So that aids you in a lot of things. It's even helpful when using a rip fence for ripping, as long as the rip fence isn't right here. So if I have the rip fence to the right and I'm ripping a wider board, I can go ahead and position this anywhere along this table. It doesn't even have to align with a miter slot if I'm not using it for mitering. Okay, I can do the same thing and attach that over here on my side table as well. So it's handy just to give you additional support where you need it. Now, one bit of advice I'll give Isaac, and I'll give you too, get in the habit of using the miter gauge on the right hand slot for all sawing. The left hand slot is for other things, for like guiding you in horizontal boring and disc sanding and things like that. But the disadvantage if you ever get into mitering or doing anything where you're tilting the table, that puts the miter gauge now in a pinch, because the blade is going to be, or the table's going to tilt this direction. It's sort of like a tilting saw blade that would be leaning towards the miter gauge. I've seen a number of these over the years where the corner of the miter gauge has been cut off because they weren't paying attention. But if you're in the habit of always using the miter gauge for sawing in the right hand slot, that'll never ever be a problem.
Super dull blade, super fast.
Real fast. On the version of the Shopsmiths that I own, they made the table larger, but they made it much larger to the right hand side because they knew that's where you needed it.
Right.
So thanks for letting me come over and play a little bit, Isaac. And if you have a 500 model of the Mark V, or even one of the clones that was made, Total Shop and a number of others that were copies of this machine, keep an eye out on eBay for these front supports. They're quite handy. All right, make it a great day.